Greetings, everyone. This is your host today, Dr. Cyclops, and I'm here to give you good tidings. Good tidings I share with you today. Today would be about good tidings, I think, but I'm not sure. No, I think I'll have to rededicate my greeting to you and give you something different today. Yeah. Anyway, what's going on, gang? Hey, everybody. This your boy, Tommy Sotomayor. I'm a crispy crunchy. I don't know. But anyway, I'm over here at the park getting some fresh air in. Maybe I'll do a little speed walking, a little jazzercise, I wasn't told, I had overheard that the Ku Klux Klan is doing a fundraiser for Officer Darrell Wilson, who was involved in this Ferguson, Missouri shooting. And I had read on Twitter, I believe it was yesterday, Twitter, that they had raised $700,000 for his legal defense. And then there was a press report that they put out, a press release, and it was like several pages that they're going to be doing community patrols in Ferguson, in St. Louis County, to protect the white business owners, which I don't know if a lot of those white business owners would want that. I assume they do. But in any event, the Ku Klux Klan, I didn't even know the organization still existed. I thought they were bankrupted by Morris Dees in the Southern Poverty Law Center a few years ago. I didn't know they were reconstituted. And even still, I suppose they should have more. They should be more intimidating now than they were in the past, but I don't see it. What I do appreciate about I'll just call them the KKK. What I do appreciate about them is they've got some really creative names for their administrative and leadership positions. Like Grand Exalted Cyclops and Super Dragon and shit like that. You gotta get behind something like that. Shoot, man, if I had myself a crazy organization, I give myself crazy names too. I would call myself like Magnetron, some shit like that, But apparently, there seems to be almost no way to actually observe this entire investigation with an unbiased manner or an impartial manner. I was on Facebook last night, and all of these people kept saying, and there was a lot of people. It was, I think it was Bobby Glanton Smith on the Zoe Williams show, and there was several other people, and there was that video that I posted yesterday about some commenter, and everyone is making the willing admission that Michael Brown had robbed a convenience store. And I'm saying, if you don't have any confirmation, corroboration, or any precise affirmation that the store was even robbed, if the lawyer for the guy who owns the store won't admit to it being robbed, then I really don't know how you can continue with that proclamation that he had robbed the store and that he had took cigars from the store. Come on. If I tell you I did something, if you insinuate that I did something, and then when one looks for proof of the occurrence, if you go to the person and say, well, we have videotape that says this guy robbed this store. Well, wait a minute, I own this store and I can't admit to it being robbed, so you really have nothing to go on from there. But I don't know how the walking trails in this park are laid out. But there is an incessant desire to believe that this young man had committed some criminal act. Right? It would be a word I guess in Spanish it would be ensuciar, to dirty him up, to dirty something, ensuciarse, to get yourself dirty. You know, they need to take this young man and make him dirty. I don't understand that, but I guess that's how global white supremacy works. You know, all white people are seen to be angels or to be doing something angelic, and then all non-white people are always in the commission of a criminal act. Either they were scheming or probing. I remember when the U.S. Department of Energy was investigating, I think his name is Wohan Lee, saying that he was selling secrets to the Chinese. You know, and the case fell apart because they didn't have any real evidence. All they had was a Chinese man working in a laboratory who spoke Chinese. You know? But with respect to this Michael Brown thing, the Ku Klux Klan is raising funds for the legal defense of Officer Darrell Wilson, which is indicative of one thing. They know he is going to be indicted in the murder of Michael Brown. Now, the St. Louis County prosecutor has just convened the grand jury, and then they'll have a grand jury who will probably bring down an indictment in about 30 days, but I really don't suspect the St. Louis prosecutor will actually offer up an indictment. But I do believe the U.S. Attorney's Office in St. Louis will indict Michael Brown for criminal action in the civil rights section. All right? Because I believe that, and I was reading an article from Mother Jones yesterday, and they said that St. Louis had 40 agents on the ground investigating this incident. Now, what they didn't say was that if those were 40 agents from the St. Louis field office, or if they were 40 agents in addition to those at the St. Louis field office that were being sent there. Now, if it's 40 plus 40, well, if it's St. Louis office plus 40, what this means is, you know, the federal government really suspects that they've got a major issue on their hands with the Ferguson Police Department and this shooting of Michael Brown. If it's agents from the St. Louis field office, it could be something that they overheard through the grapevine, and they did not like the way this investigation was going down because it sounded too hinky, too funny, too funky, too suspicious, too suspect, too questionable, and they decided to get involved. I'd recommend putting more faith in with the federal government than I would with the St. Louis County prosecutor. That's just how I see it. Another thing is, you know, I do not believe that the case will be tried in St. Louis County. If the federal government takes control of this, you know, I do believe they're going to try this case in Kansas City, Missouri, which is on the other side of the state, but has pretty much almost the same demographic of St. Louis City and St. Louis County combined to pick from the right pool of juries. If the St. Louis prosecutor decides to bring down an indictment, he'll probably move the county, he'll probably move the trial to I would say, pretty much rural or suburban county, somewhere in the middle of the state, probably Jefferson, Missouri, or something like that, you know, Joplin, you know, or one of them farm counties in the middle of the state, where he's guaranteed to get a not guilty or to be acquitted. But I think the federal indictment is what Darrell Wilson should be suspicious. He should be wary of. He should be cautious of more than the state indictment, because those county prosecutors will work with that police department, and even still, you know, there are just so many things that have come into play here that, you know, the Ferguson Police Department they've botched the investigation. The St. Louis County Police Department has botched the investigation. There's still no official report from Darrell Wilson on the incident on August 9th, which was about 2 weeks ago. You know, if today is August 23rd, 2014, that means it was exactly 2 weeks ago. Why is he waiting 2 weeks to file a report? All right, because they need a story to go with. This is why. They need a story to go with, and they don't have one. So giving him time to make it up, and now you get all of the public to believe that he was robbing the store, but you can't get anybody to confirm that he was robbing the store. You can't even get the man who owned the store to report any lost inventory. You can't get the man in the store to admit that that was Michael Brown on the tape. You can't get the man in the store to admit anything, which would lead me to a sure inclination that Michael Brown had robbed this store. And even still, I'm lost here in the minute definitions between robbery and shoplifting. And another thing is, the store owner, a lot of times this is just ancillary information, but people do know that live in large cities. If you live in New York, Chicago, Philadelphia, Miami, places like that, a lot of times in these stores, and even other smaller cities also, in these type of in New York we call them bodegas, but they're corner stores, These guys, they don't make a lot of money, and they're not making a lot of money selling cigarettes, lottery tickets, and potato chips, A lot of times these guys are supplementing their income. These guys are supplementing their income with some special treats on the side, which means, it could be anything that is off the books and usually illegal. They might be selling marijuana out of the store. They might be running numbers out of the store. It might be a gambling spot in the back office. It might be doing prostitution behind the store. They might be doing welfare fraud and washing food stamps. These things happen in these little bodegas. This is why the owner, he can always live in the good part of town, even though his store is in the bad part of town. Because he's making money hand over fist, because more than half of it is not reportable income. It's cash in his hand. Take that cash, live his life. Right? The store is just a taxable income. Guy's got a $485,000 house, driving a 12-year-old Honda Accord, wants you to believe that he only made $26,000 last year. But he sent his daughter to Sarah Lawrence and paid the bill in cash. Well, I'm not saying that this is what the store owner was doing. I'm just saying a lot of times these store owners don't want to participate in these type of investigations, because you'll also investigate the store owner and see what he's doing, and you may find out that this guy was washing food stamps in that building, in his enterprise. You may find out that he had a low-level marijuana operation going on. But, the subject is not the convenience store owner. The subject is Michael Brown and the incident on August 9th, 2014. So the autopsy comes back, and they say that Brown was shot 6 times. Another thing that gets me, and it's basically a white people thing, it's just, I don't understand what is it about white people that they need to believe that everything that they do is right. I mean, just the need to vilify Michael Brown, right? The need to vilify John Crawford, who was the young man who was shot in the Walmart for holding a toy gun. And, I don't want to ramble here, but there's just so much information that you're not being told about this John Crawford incident. And I don't know. I bought a shotgun from Kmart. And when I bought that 12-gauge shotgun, single barrel, they sold it to me in a box. So I don't really believe, when you buy video games for your kids, when you buy toys for your kids, don't they come in a box? So I just don't believe that this toy gun did not come in a box. So, we need to see a videotape from the security cameras in Walmart to see how threatening or how menacing John Crawford was believed to have been. I think so. And then there's a lot of different issues, man. There is, if the police were called, then, loss prevention must have told them what part of the store he was in, because in in my belief, Walmart stores are pretty huge. Walmart builds their stores to 100,000 square feet, so they're typical store. If it's a super store or super Walmart with the supermarket inside of it, well, we need to know. Because I don't believe that you had 2 police officers running throughout an entire store. They had to show up in a patrol car, and loss prevention person had to, he had to meet them somewhere and then tell them, he had to communicate with another person to tell them where John Crawford was in that store. Because if one guy's meeting you at the door, he's got to have a radio to contact where the camera room, where is the guy. So all of this stuff takes time. And for it to take time, I don't see how no one would know, because it didn't see all of this stuff. I need you to follow me here. If I go to Walmart, I walk to the back of the store, because it's pretty much the same in Kmart, and it's pretty much the same in Target. The sporting goods section is in the back of the store. They're not going to keep the air rifles and the pellet guns with the G.I. Joes and the My Little Ponies. They're going to put that stuff back against the wall with the shotguns, the shells, the real shotguns, the bow and arrows, the fishing poles. They're going to put that stuff back there because it would be technically considered archery equipment. And, even though it's a toy, it's not meant for young children. It's meant for teenage children. But in any event, what you're telling me, or what I'm being told, or what I'm absorbing from the limited facts that are out there, is that John Crawford went to the back of the store by the sporting goods section. He went to get a pellet gun, which is a Crossley 177 air rifle. He was walking his way to the front of the store. See, a lot of things I don't know. Did he pay for the gun right there? Did he pay for that toy gun? Right there in the rear, at the back of the store. Or did he take the gun, the toy, and was going to walk to the front of the store? All right? If he paid for it, at what point did he take it out of the box? How was his Walmart laid out? There's a Walmart in Rotterdam in Schenectady County. It's got an entrance. It's got a tire and lube center in it. So there's a rear entrance right there by the tire and lube store, and that's close. And that will be close to where they typically put the sporting goods. So what I'm really trying to figure out is, guy goes to Walmart. He's got to be in there at least 5 minutes. So he's in there 5 minutes, gets to the sporting good. Hello, I would like to get that one right there, the Crossley 177. Okay, sir, that'll be, I don't know what it costs. Let's assume it costs $70. Oh, that'll be $70, and let's assume they've got 8% tax in Ohio, so $5.50 sales tax. That'll be $75. Here you go. Right? It's if he paid at the back of the store. If he didn't pay at the back of the store, he just takes it, puts it in his cart, or puts it in his hand. I don't know. But I'm really sure that they're not selling these air rifles not in the box. I just don't see them doing that. I bought 2 air rifles. All right? I bought a Crossman, and then there was something else. But these things came in boxes. They came in a shiny box, which had shiny brown box with a plastic window in it. and it had black ties. The black ties tied the gun to the cardboard in the back of the box so it wouldn't shift during transportation and then get scuffed up and then look unpresentable for someone who had wanted to buy a new pellet gun. These were pellet guns, all right? And so therefore, I need someone to explain to me, because the information has not been shared. I'm pretty sure it may be out there, but I just haven't found it. What happened after he left the sporting goods section? Well, a customer called it in and said there was a guy with a gun. Well, wait a minute. A customer would call that in? They would say there's a guy with a gun walking around Walmart. It would just be one customer? It wouldn't be 15 other customers? I mean, I don't know what Beaver Creek, what is that, a suburb of? But over here, The Walmart in the suburbs of New York City, they're always crowded. The one in Linden, New Jersey, the one in Valley Stream. So only one person saw that as being suspicious? You know? Or was it maybe the loss prevention people up in the camera room, or the people that called the police department? Because to me, they would seem to have the most advantageous spot to do such a thing. All right? What they would do for me, as I see it, what they would do is they're looking at the guy. There's a black guy walking down with the cameras, and you got a gun, and we got to call the cops. And then when the police get there, he's over there in section 12. And then the guy says, section 12 right over there. Because all of this stuff must take time. So far, this whole interaction, as I see it playing out, could not have taken less than 15 minutes. All right? John gets to Walmart, parks his car, walks through the parking lot, walks in the store, walks back to the sporting goods section, points out the gun to the person, because usually these things, I believe, are behind glass with a lock on it, so you got to get somebody with the key to the lock to open the gate and pull it out. So unless he bought the floor model, the demonstration, I still don't see how it didn't come in the box. But even if he did, they put a UPC on the price tag. Okay, well, let's say they didn't do that. That means he paid for it at the back of the store. So now he's leaving with his receipt in his hand. He's walking to the front of the store. Okay, but the security camera has him on camera buying the damn thing. Right? You can't make me believe they got cameras in the front of the store, they got cameras in the parking lot, they got cameras in the cash register, but they don't have cameras in the sporting goods. They got cameras behind the door in the loading bay. They got cameras behind the store so when the trucks pull in, to make sure they're not being pirated. They're not worrying about shoplifting only from the customers or prospective customers. They also worry about shoplifting from the employees. They got cameras everywhere. All right? So now he's walking to the front of the store, and I'm just trying to figure this out. And another thing to consider is that 2 people died in that store that day. All right? There was a woman who died from shock after she had saw the police shoot John Crawford. There was a young woman. She was the mother of 2, I believe. She was a white woman. She was the mother of 2. And after she had seen the incident, she had a heart attack and died on the way to the hospital. So 2 people had died in that store that day. You know? Now, there's also a lot of turmoil from her family because this was a very young woman. I think she was about 25 years old. I can look that up later on, but I believe she was about 25 years old and she was the mother of 2. And then she went into shock and had a heart attack, and she died. So Walmart is pretty much, Walmart will pay because this whole thing was their fault. If you don't have procedures for selling toy guns, I mean, even though it was an air rifle, all right, and you say, well, it still can be used as a real gun. If you don't have procedures in place that to sell a thing in the box, pay for it in the department, or pay for it in the front of the store, or, you take the slip for the item to the front of the store, pay for it, and then someone will bring it to you at the front of the store. All these things can be done because they're already being done in other places. Right? You want to buy a fur coat, they might give you a fur coat and have you walk to the front of the store. They're going to give you a slip. And when you get to the cash register, pay for the coat, they're going to put the thing in the box for you, and they'll meet you at the door. This prevents the coat from being damaged before you get to pay for it. But in any event, the county prosecutor in over there, I don't know what Beaver Creek, like I said, I don't know what county that's in and what suburb it is, of Toledo or Cleveland or Cincinnati or anything like that, but the county prosecutor, he hasn't convened a grand jury in that incident either. But in some of these cases, man, it's going to be very hard to insinuate that the actions of the police officers were just. It's going to be very hard to insinuate some of these things. Because, they'll say, well, we got a call of a man with a gun, and especially in these days when the evidence and the trail of evidence is around you everywhere you go, because everyone has a recording device, and there are cameras everywhere. Right? All of the phone calls are recorded. 911, in store. I would believe that Walmart records those phone calls too.
You know, the transmissions between the security personnel, the loss prevention. You know, the cameras are recording. You know, so, you know, I don't know what's going on. I have some suspicions, but I'm not really sure, so I can't say anything about it until I get a little more information. And then finally, there was another young man who was killed by the police in New Orleans, Louisiana, about 3 days ago. He was shot in the head during a traffic stop. And even though in New Orleans the officers are supposed to have a uniform-mounted body camera, somehow this officer's body camera was turned off. And then in Los Angeles, there was, I believe they said he was a mentally incapacitated or a mentally challenged young man, and he was killed by the police. I don't know if it's mental health issues or some other more serious congenital issue, but he was killed by the police in Los Angeles. So, and here in New York, there's going to be a rally or a demonstration at the base of the Verrazano Bridge. It's going to be led by Al Sharpton. I suppose it's good for something, but I won't have time to check that out. You can see that on the news if you choose. But in any event, all I'm saying is that there's something going on here, and if you know, I mean, in the aim of white supremacy, in the aim of global white supremacy, I'd like to make a declaration that it does make sense for the state, the federal government, to throw some of these officers under the bus. If this is a system that you want to utilize, you want to implement on the entire world, and you want to utilize here in America, if this is a system that you feel comfortable using, and you've made money over it, you made money off of it for decades, for centuries, then it would behoove you, in the name of continuing the rules, to continue the hustle, the con, the trick, it would behoove you to throw some of these white officers under the bus. Darrell Wilson, throw him under the bus. Life in prison, yeah, well, it's a bad thing that he's got to deal with, but look, in order to keep the system fluid, because that's what this is about, right? It's keeping the system fluid. Because for those of you, you white corporatists and you white corporation owners, if you don't want to see your properties get damaged by any civil rebellions or disruptions, it just might make sense to throw them under the bus. You got to take one for the team. All right? And you can tell them that. Darrell, you're going to get indicted. You're going to get an indictment, and you're going to be convicted. You got to take one for the team. All right? That police officer that is from Beaver Creek, Ohio, you're going to take one for the team. All right? This police officer here in New York City that strangled Eric Garner, you got to take one for the team. Hey, the greater goal is the continuation of global white supremacy and the racial white hegemony. And then, we're making money over here. And we're making a lot of money using our corrupted theories. So, by you disrupting what we got going on here, and then the civil disturbances that will happen, you just may cost us more money than we are willing to lose. So you're going to have to take one for the team. And this will be, it probably won't happen because you'll never admit to being that self-centered. Well, they will be that self-centered, but they'll never admit to being that self-centered. And even still, it'll be like Ken Lay. You can only do that if that white person doesn't know anything of importance. See, once that white person knows something of importance, then you have to execute him gradually. So Ken Lay gets convicted of fraud, and then he winds up dying 2 days later before he gets sentenced. Well, he had a heart attack. No, somebody poisoned Ken Lay. because in order to get a light deal, he could testify on other people. So you had to get rid of him. Right? Bernie Madoff. Oh, they made Bernie Madoff turn himself in, but they still made his son commit, they still said his son committed suicide.